It started like any other morning at the bustling office. Employees hurried past a woman quietly wiping down tables, a cleaner who went unnoticed by most, but not by the boss. He stopped in his tracks, smirking as he loudly questioned why someone like her would even belong in a place like this. His words were cutting, dripping with arrogance, as he mocked her in front of everyone. Laughter echoed from a few employees, but others exchanged uneasy glances, sensing the tension. What the boss didn't know was that the woman he humiliated wasn't just any cleaner. She was about to turn his world upside down. Moments later, she stepped into the boardroom, leaving everyone speechless as the truth came to light. The person he dismissed so easily wasn't just there to clean. She was the new CEO, ready to teach a lesson no one would forget. The room fell silent as the cleaner, still holding her cleaning rag, strode to the head of the table. Her calm confidence was a stark contrast to the shock rippling through the staff. The boss, still oblivious, let out a nervous laugh, assuming it was some sort of prank. But when she introduced herself as the company's new CEO, his smirk vanished. The employees exchanged wide-eyed glances. Whispers spread like wildfire as everyone tried to make sense of what just happened. How could someone they'd all overlooked hold such a powerful position? The boss's face turned pale, his earlier mockery now playing in his mind like a bad dream. The CEO glanced around the room, her expression unreadable. "I spent the past week observing," she began, her voice steady but sharp. "And what I've seen, well, it's given me a lot to think about." Everyone leaned in, bracing for what would come next. The boss shifted uncomfortably in his seat, his confident demeanor crumbling. He tried to speak, but the CEO raised her hand, silencing him with a calm authority that spoke volumes. She set the cleaning rag down on the table, a small gesture, but it felt like a statement. "This company is more than profits and titles," she said, her gaze sweeping across the room. "It's about people, respect, and values. Unfortunately, what I witnessed this week has shown me that some of those values have been lost." The staff listened intently, some staring at the floor, others nervously meeting her gaze. One junior employee who had been silent during the earlier incident now looked visibly uneasy. Had they left along with the boss? Would their actions come back to haunt them? Meanwhile, the boss was still grappling with what to do. His mind raced as he replayed the moment he mocked her. He could feel every eye on him, waiting for her next move. The tension in the room was thick, and yet no one dared to speak. The CEO glanced at him briefly before continuing. "Change starts from the top, and today, that change begins." The air in the boardroom grew heavier with each passing second. The CEO walked slowly around the table, her eyes scanning the room, lingering just long enough on each face to make them squirm. Her silence was deafening, more powerful than any words could have been. The boss sat frozen, fidgeting with his pen, desperately avoiding her gaze. His mind raced for a way to salvage his reputation, but deep down, he knew there was no quick fix for what he'd done. "I've worked in this industry for years," the CEO finally said, her voice calm yet commanding. "I've seen leaders rise, and I've seen them fall. And you know what makes the difference? Integrity. How you treat the people who can do nothing for you says everything about who you are." She stopped just behind the boss, her presence looming over him. The staff exchanged uneasy glances. Some seemed relieved that the focus wasn't on them. Others seemed to brace for what was coming. The junior employee who had laughed earlier sat stiffly, their regret written all over their face. The CEO's voice softened, but her words cut even deeper. "Respect is not optional. It's earned through actions, not titles. And today, we'll decide what kind of leadership this company deserves." The room felt like it was holding its breath, everyone waiting to see if she would deliver the final blow. Just as the tension in the room reached its peak, the CEO turned and pressed a button on the conference room's remote. A projector screen descended, filling the wall with an image of an email inbox, her email inbox. The subject lines told a story of their own. Dismissive comments, inappropriate jokes, even complaints from employees about the toxic work environment. Every message was anonymous, but the content pointed in one direction: the leadership or lack thereof. The room erupted in murmurs, panic spreading among the employees. The boss's face turned crimson, and his confident facade shattered completely. He opened his mouth to protest, but the CEO silenced him with a sharp look. "This isn't just about what happened this morning," she said, her voice steady but piercing. "It's about a culture that's been allowed to fester, and I'm here to clean it up." Then, without warning, she clicked again, and a video started playing. It was footage from a hidden security camera, a recording of the boss berating another employee in private. Gasps rippled through the room as everyone realized this wasn't just a lesson in leadership. It was an exposure of the truth. The junior employee who had laughed earlier looked like they might faint, and the boss, now visibly sweating, seemed frozen in place. The CEO stepped forward. "Every choice you make has consequences. And today, those consequences will be made clear." The suspense was unbearable, leaving everyone wondering what she would do next, and who else might be held accountable. The room was silent except for the hum of the projector, its bright lights still illuminating the damning video. The CEO stepped back to the head of the table, her presence commanding every eye in the room. "Effective immediately," she said, her voice calm but resolute, "you're relieved of your position." She looked directly at the boss, whose face turned a shade paler with every word. He stammered, trying to explain, but she held up her hand. "This is not up for discussion. Your behavior has no place here." Gasps echoed through the room as the staff processed what had just happened. But before anyone could react further, the CEO turned to the rest of the employees. "This isn't just about one person. It's about all of us. Moving forward, this company will operate on a foundation of respect and accountability." And then came the twist. She clicked the remote one final time, and a second video began playing. This one showed moments from the past week, her quietly observing, employees interacting, small kindnesses from some, and unkind words from others. The CEO's gaze swept across the room, landing on the junior employee who had laughed earlier. "Everyone here has a choice," she said, her voice firm but understanding. "To reflect, to grow, and to contribute to a better workplace." She paused, letting her words sink in. "For those willing to embrace that change, I'll support you. For those who can't or won't, today will be your last day here." The room buzzed with nervous energy, the weight of her words hanging heavy. As she walked out of the boardroom, the staff sat frozen, knowing this wasn't just a lesson for the former boss, it was a turning point for them all. The atmosphere in the office shifted in the days that followed. The former boss cleared out his desk quietly, avoiding eye contact as he walked past the very employees he'd once dismissed. Meanwhile, the CEO's presence brought a renewed sense of purpose. She held individual meetings with staff, giving everyone a chance to voice their concerns and share ideas for creating a healthier workplace. The junior employee who had laughed that day apologized privately, admitting their mistake. The CEO listened, offering advice rather than judgment. "It's not about where you start," she said, "but what you do next that defines you." By the end of the week, the office felt transformed. A new culture of respect and collaboration began to take root, driven by a leader who understood the value of every role. And as the CEO walked through the building, no longer overlooked, she smiled. Her quiet mission had only just begun.